We're going to be running through Cloud version 7. So included in Cloud 7 is iPECS 1 version 5 and Analytics version 5. So we'll be obviously running through the feature updates for those versions as well. We'll start with Cloud 7, or what I should say is, if anyone has any questions throughout, just stick them in the chat. Ethan and I will get to them as soon as we can. Just use the chat function on Teams and we'll pick them up as soon as we can. Okay, we'll get started. So to begin, just a few highlights of what we've got in this version. So we've got ACD Multi-client, ACD Queued callback, two-factor authentication, which is a big one, call recording, crypto key storage, multi-SIP transfer VSP, backing up of call recordings and voicemails, so backing them up off-site away from cloud, Google sign-in, ThousandEye and SIP multi-client, and then blocking calls based on CLI. So to begin, multiple outgoing CLI selection. So what we can do from version 7 is select up to 10 CLIs to be sent on a handset or an iPECS 1 device. So you can see here within the user setup screen, this is a screenshot from obviously within user setup, within multiple outgoing caller ID, you can select up to 10 CLIs to be sent by that user. And what that means is, let's change my screen, on a handset or an iPECS 1, any of those 10 CLIs can be selected by the device. So you can see in this screenshot, I've gone to the shortcode here, menu 7.3, and I can see a list of those 10 CLIs I've already configured. And I come into this menu, I can click OK, and then I'm sending that CLI until I change it, basically. So previously you'd have to use shared lines, select them on a call by call basis essentially, but from version 7 you're selecting a CLI and sending that on all calls until you change it, basically. I've got a screenshot coming up later on in the iPECS 1 section for how you achieve this on iPECS 1 as well, but it's the same concept. If you've got any CLIs you've got set in here, like I say, up to 10, if you've got multiple outgoing caller ID set to use, they're all visible on the relevant device and can be selected for outbound calls. Blocking calls based on CLI, so like it sounds really. There's a new menu within the Customer Manager portal company, and it's called Block Spam Calls. And in here, you can add up to 1,000 CLIs to block. You can do these manually, adding them one by one. You can see in the bottom right, normal options, add, delete, and upload. And obviously, you can upload up to 1,000 in a CSV format, CLIs you want to block. And this means when you call a DDI for this customer, for this cloud tenant, if that CLI matches one of the numbers in this list, they hear error tone, essentially. So any callers that match these CLIs, they just get blocked instantly. So good for obviously spam calls and anyone you don't want to get hold of, or you don't want to get hold of you. Alternative queue callback. So current version of Cloud, you can get a callback if you're in an ACD queue. You can press an option and receive a callback rather than wait in the queue. Current version, you can only get a callback on the number you called in on, but new version 7, there's an option for an alternative callback. So when you select I want a callback, you'll have an option for getting a callback on the current number you called in from, or entering a different number. And then it's as simple as, following the prompts and following that through, entering the number you want to call back on, and that you'll get a callback on that number. Obviously, normal restrictions, if you enter, or if a caller would enter an international number and that ACD queue isn't configured to dial international numbers, that call will fail. So normal call bar and rules apply. I've got a slide here just showing you how the call flow works, and it's these two orange boxes that are the new options within the queue. So that's a callback option, and then the menu to enter the number you want to call back on. ThousandEye plus third-party SIP, so pretty common multi-client across the platform now. But now we've got the ability to multi-client a ThousandEye with third-party SIP. So that means third-party SIP and a ThousandEye can have the same extension number on the cloud platform, and obviously ring in tandem when that extension number is called. Similar config, as you can see. I'm sure most people will be familiar with this. You can see on the left, when you go to set up a user, you've now got the option for phone and third-party SIP device, and it's normal process really. Select the phone, select the MAC address, select the third-party SIP device type, and enter the auth ID and password as you normally would. Multi-client support for ACD. So this means that we can have two devices on a user. So we can basically have a multi-client that has ACD. So we can set up 1000i and iPECS 1 to then have an ACD user license, an ACD agent license on that user. But what you'll need to remember is that only one of those devices can be an ACD agent. So you'll need to select, or the end user will need to select, which of those devices is the ACD agent. So you can see in here, there's a few different ways of doing this, and we'll cover that a bit later on in the iPECS 1 section as well. But you need to select which of those devices, whether it's a hard phone or iPECS 1, is the ACD agent. So you can receive normal extension calls on both devices, but you'll only receive ACD calls on the preferred device. So the screenshot on the right is from the customer manager, where yourself as the reseller can set the preferred device, or the user, either on their hard phone by dialing a code, or within iPECS 1, which is the menu you can see below, can change their preferred device. So you can see in the center middle here, there's a screenshot from iPECS 1 device management, and a customer, an end user, can request that device be their ACD preferred device if it is set to their hard phone. And you can see in here, I can go request, and it will tell you then if that device is the ACD preferred, and then obviously vice versa for the handset. You can, on your handset, you can change the handset to be the preferred device to then receive the ACD agent calls. Hopefully that makes sense. I feel like I said handset a lot during And you can set the ACD preferred device via flex key as well on the phone, so you can easily toggle that device to be the preferred device. Extension forward group. So this is a cool feature that you can set a group of extensions to be forwarded at once. It might make more sense if I move to the next screen. So on the left, this is the user feature config screen, which I think everyone will be familiar with. And you can see there's a new option here, forward group. When you come in here and click setting, you get this option on the right, and then you're creating a forward group. So you can see in here, I've selected 4 extensions. I can move them to the left to be part of the group. I can set a destination, a time mode, and that means that that group of extensions are forwarded to that destination. It's as simple as that, really. So yeah, like I say, you're creating a group of extensions and forwarding them at once rather than having to forward them all individually, and that's set on a per user. So you can come in here, you can see this is from my normal user feature screen, and then I can create a group on that user to forward a group of devices. And important to remember the call forward priority. So you can do this on an extension or a hung group, similar thing. You can forward a group of hung groups. So, 3 or 4 hung groups, for example, you could forward them all to the same destination at night using this group forward feature. An important thing to remember is that the call forward priority. So you've got, so the forward group essentially is always the highest priority. And then the normal forward priority, which is preset call forward, or the individual call forward on an extension, or then obviously the hung group call forward on a hung group. So I'm just looking at some of the questions in the chat. Can you assign a name against the outgoing caller ID? Let me just go back a few slides. I don't know if I've got a screenshot in here of that. So in iPECS 1, it displays the name, but on the hard phone, you can see here, it doesn't display the name, David. But within iPECS 1, I'll show you a bit later on, there's if it will show you essentially the alpha tag of that number. So if there's an alpha tag that matches one of these numbers, it will show you in the display of iPECS 1. Only the one device in an ACD, only one device as an ACD agent. So the other handset or the other device in that group would do nothing essentially. So it would receive normal inbound multi-client calls. I'll get to the right screen. So the multi-client would function as it does today. Both devices, iPECS 1 and the hard phone, will ring at the same time. But if it's an ACD call, only the preferred device would ring for an inbound ACD call. The other device would be idle. Liam, your question, where would we use the forward group scenario? Good question. I think it's handy because you can set it via phone as well. So you think of a user at Christmas, maybe they want to forward their hunt group to voicemail when they leave at night or something like that. They can do that via this setting. Once it's configured within here, a user can enter a code on the phone to toggle that forward on or off. So again, group of extensions, a group of hunt groups can all be forwarded via this menu and via the phone. So I think it could possibly be useful in that scenario. I'll carry on. So PCI DSS support. So not something I think that's going to come up very often. More of a box tick this, but this essentially means that the decryption key is stored on the platform when you listen to call recordings, whereas in the current version, the decryption key is stored locally on your browser, if that makes sense, when you listen to an encrypted call recording. So this is just another level of encryption for encrypted call recordings on the cloud platform. Like I say, not something that's going to come up very often, I don't think, but a nice to have feature. Remote call recording backup, voicemail backup. So what we have now is an option to back up call recordings, voicemails, either daily or weekly to a web dev server hosted by the partner, so yourself really. So there's a specific server type that we support, which is called web dev. There's a few guides online. We don't have any included here because you can either host it on Windows, in Linux, wherever you want. So we don't really have any restrictions on the type of web dev server, as long as it is a web dev server type. And then once you've set up your web dev server, configured these options within the cloud, you can see there's a new menu in the cloud portal, call recording voicemail backup, and you can come in here. And in this example, I'm in the call recording backup list, and I can manually select call recordings to be backed up to that external service, or if I've got that backup schedule sent to daily in the previous menu, that automatically selects the call recordings or voicemails from that day and automatically backs them up during the night, essentially. So as long as that web dev server has a connection to the cloud platform that's established, it's going to continue to do those backups daily of all call recordings or all voicemails that have been generated during that working day. Postcode lookup. So this is more going to be for the provisioning side of things, but we've now got an option to validate postcodes when a customer is created. So you can see on the left, this is when creating a customer site. I've got the option to search, look up our Pragma postcode, select the address, and you can see after I've gone through this method, it shows the postcode is valid. And then that's, that's pulled through the correct address that the Royal Mail, whoever can deliver the post to, or deliver the whatever to. Signing with Google account. So very similar to the Microsoft integration we brought in a year or two ago now. We've now got the option to do this with Google. So we've got a separate guide for this that I won't cover in this because there's quite a few steps within the Google Workspace interface to do. But it's possible now across EMS, so that's the Customer Manager Portal, and iPECS 1. You can log in with Google, and that's the same for mobile as well. So as I said, currently we can do mobile with Microsoft login. We can now do sign in with Google for iPECS 1 mobile as well. 2FA, so works like any other 2FA service. You know, you go to a website, you go to log in, you have to go to your Authenticator app, find a 6-digit code, and enter it on the web, and it will allow you to go through. And it's as simple as that, really. So we support that now for Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, and Twilio Authy. So it's based on the time-based one-time password scheme that I think most people will be familiar with now. Like I say, 6-digit code that you enter on the relevant web portal when you go to log in. So it's quite simple to set this up. So you'll see a new option within the user setup menu now for login type, and that's so the option to use 2FA is obviously the top option, ID password with 2FA, and we've now got the option to do ID password only, so no 2FA, and then Google Microsoft sign in only, so then reduces the need, if they do use Microsoft or Google, for the user to not need to know their actual ID and password. They can use their Microsoft or Google details. So when you first set a user up with ID password 2FA, when they first go to log in, they're prompted with this screen. This is pretty standard. They have a QR code. They scan on their relevant app. Once that's done, they scan the code and they to scan the QR code, enter the 6-digit code on the relevant app, and then that's the app configured to that user. And then on next login, they're presented with the 6-digit code option, which is, you know, the code on the app that will pop up. So that's the same. So like I said, we've got this a few different levels 2FA. So that's available at a reseller level. So the level that you guys log in as at the customer level. So they can do that at either customer manager or customer user level. And we can also do this on iPECS 1 and analytics. And if a user, for any reason, deletes the app, loses their phone, changes their phone, it's as simple as coming into the customer manager portal and clicking reset, and that then sends them back to the first step where they get presented on next login with a QR code, so they can go through and set up their authenticator again for that user. And that's just the config within the customer manager. So in my information for that user that's logged in, they can change their login type if they wanted. And same for the reseller. So that's the same for your level login. When a user logs in, they can set 2FA to be used or not used, and then same process for setting up the QR code and linking it to the app. So that's the sort of main features of cloud. There's a few other little bits that we've added as well. So differential ringtones for internal and external. So pretty straightforward. You can see here within the user setup menu, under where you normally select a device, you've now got the option for different internal and different external ringtones, 1 through 9. Anybody that's worked with ELG for a while will recognize the ringtones. They're all the sort of standard jazzy ringtones we've normally got. Dialing from company directory in the user portal for hot desk users. So currently, if a normal hard phone user logs into the user portal, they get this option. They'd be presented with this option of a phone next to the number within the company directory, and they can click that as a sort of click to dial, and that pushes the call through the phone. And now we can support this for hot desk users as well. So hot desk users can log into the customer user portal and do the same thing. Click this phone icon to make a call. Voicemail greeting download. So pretty self-explanatory. You can download any uploaded or greetings recorded via the phone now. So similar to what we brought in for auto attendance, I think in the last major version 6, very similar. Obviously, there's now a download option for downloading any uploaded or recorded voicemail greetings. Holiday schedule. So I think most people will be pretty happy with this. You can now configure up to the next 10 years of holidays for a customer. So you can see in this example here, I've got every year for 25th of December. And then you can also, for, obviously Christmas Day, that's the same day every year, but for bank holidays that change year on year, you can configure this for 10 years in advance. And obviously what we'll do shortly after we've upgraded the platform is configure the next 10 years on our service provider level so that you guys can come in here and click the get holiday option. And then that's going to cover you guys for that customer for the next 10 years. And you don't need to worry about coming in there, changing bank holidays year on year. We can now cover that for the next 10 years. And that's the same for auto attendance as well. So up to 10 years of holiday programming can be done at once for auto attendance. Increased call borrowing profile. So previously this was 5, I think, was the max, but now it's obviously up to 10. Voicemail to email contact name. So if you've got voicemail to email set on a user and the caller ID matches someone in the company directory, that caller name is now shown on the voicemail to email. So you can see on this example, about halfway down, caller name is Josh Desk, my desk phone that I made this call on. And that's the same for company directory entries it matches and extensions. So if that's an internal caller that leaves a voicemail, the internal caller's name, the extension name will be shown on the email. Shared line cross-site. So again, pretty self-explanatory. If a user has got the multi-site group members option set in the user setup menu, now within shared lines, you can have members from different sites. Increased number of DSS. So previously it was only 2 DSS on the side of a phone, but now we can have up to 3 DSS, LSS button kits on the side of the phone. So you can see there the phones that support the DSS, so anything from the 1020i up basically supports the 1048 DSS and LSS. And so one for the VSP partners, so anyone that has a VSP platform, you can now have multiple SIP trunks on the platform. Something you need to remember is there are current restrictions to the platform of call borrowing profiles, call rates. So this can only be a UK trunk, similar to what most people have as a UK gamma trunk. But you could have a secondary trunk if you wanted for backup purposes. So just an additional option for VSP partners, but encourage you to reach out to Pragma about that, because obviously we'll need to do the config around that before you guys can use it. So if you've got any questions on that, feel free to reach out for VSP partners. And that was it for the core cloud stuff. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. External users numbers, if added to the company directory, come up on the voicemail name, only for voicemail to email, Ryan. So that's only for the email notification for voicemail to email, that feature. Okay, we'll crack on into iPECS 1. Same again though. If anyone's got any questions, I'll try and grab them in the chat. So a few feature highlights: outbound CLI selection, as we covered already, call move, ACD call control, ACD agent mobile. You can do time changes from iPECS 1 now, shared line voicemail visibility, Google single sign-on, a new CRM integration tool, and obviously 2FA support. So the first one, something we already covered on the hard phone side of things, outgoing CLI selection. So same configuration on the cloud, up to 10 CLIs set per user. Once they're set on the user within iPECS 1, go to the next screen, you can see on the left is the web portal. I'm on the normal dial pad here. So the caller ID is obviously the user default in default, which is either the company outgoing CLI or whatever you've got set, but the user can come in here, click that, and then be presented with a list of 10 DDIs or up to 10 DDIs. And as David asked earlier, you can see the alpha tag of the number is presented here, so they can see what CLI they're presenting. And that's the same on the right for mobile. So same concept on the call, on the dial pad, click the user default and you're presented with a list of CLIs. Multiple call forward destinations. So currently you can only have one sort of predefined forward within iPECS 1, but now within this option you can predefine up to 3 call forwards. So you can see this example, I've got a forward to voicemail, I've got an external forward, and I've got a call forward to another internal user, and I can come in here and quickly toggle them on or off rather than configuring them at the time. So it's just an additional couple of forwards that you can toggle on or off, and that config for the same for that is the same. You can make same time conditions being set and same forward types. So unconditional, busy, no answer, all of the normal forwards. And that's the same for mobile as well. So you can have up to 3 call forward destinations programmed and then come into the same menu and easily toggle them on or off. Sorry, I see Ethan's just responded to you, Barry. I'll just read your question quick. Yeah, what Ethan said. But obviously happy to have a conversation separately, Barry, about that. Time mode change on desktop. So like it sounds, there's an option within the user setup menu currently for hard phones, this time zone mode change option. So if you've got that set to the relevant access mode, you can see on the right here, this option will appear, system service time mode. You click that option, you get presented with the normal options you get presented with on a phone. So changing the mode to be automatic day, night, and then the time mode as well if you wanted it. There's 2 options there. The top one being the service zone, so you could either do the entire company or specific sites, and then the time mode, so automatic, day, night, timed, whatever you want to change the mode to. And then the same goes for mobile, so any mobile users with that option set within the user setup can come into the mobile app, see that option, system service time mode, and select the same things, whether it's site, all sites, the company default, and then the time mode. Sorry. Shared line voicemail display. So there's a new option you can see within the customer manager portal. This is within shared lines, and you've got an option here for one member with voicemail access. And if you drag in those iPECS 1 members that you want to have access to this, you can see on the next screen, gives us access to this shared line voicemail option within the iPECS 1 display. Sorry, the screenshots are coming up a bit blurry on this, especially the one on the right, which is annoying. But you can see, especially on the desktop screenshot in the middle, within the calls tab, you've now got a shared voicemail option. You hover your mouse over that, you can see all the shared lines you're a part of, how many voicemails are in there, how many are urgent, how many new, how many read. Again, pretty self-explanatory. As long as that user is part of the one member with voicemail access group on the customer manager portal, they've got access to that, or they'll have visibility of this. And that's the same across desktop and mobile on the right. Obviously quite a bad screenshot there, but same thing. You can see your own voicemail and then the shared line voicemail display. ACD features for mobile. So a couple of versions ago now, we brought in the ACD iPECS 1 desktop function, but now we can do that on the mobile app as well. So very similar functionality. On the cog, before you sign in, select the call mode to be ACD agent, log in with your normal iPECS 1 user details that has obviously the ACD agent license attached, and then you get the ACD agent features exactly how it appears on desktop. So you can see in here I'm part of a few queues, a few ACD groups, and I can toggle them individually on or off, whatever I want to log into. I've got the same availability modes, so you can see on the right, I've got a few configured: available, lunch, wrap up, and it works just like a desktop does. Same thing with wrap up as well. If you want to extend wrap up, you can do that through the app. If you want to stop the wrap up, be ready to take calls, you can do that. You can see on the left the option for changing different availability modes. And it works really well, to be honest. It works just like desktop, and it's quite slick, and I think it looks quite good. ACD agent control. So again, pretty self-explanatory. You can control your ACD phone via iPECS 1 now. So you can log in as an ACD phone control user. You can see on the right, it tells you that you're in ACD phone control mode, and you can make and receive calls or push calls via iPECS 1 to the desk phone, ACD agent. Can prevent ACD mobile user, prevent ACD at, I can't read. I get what you're trying to say. No, there isn't a way to disable, Barry, that setting to log in as ACD agent if they have that license. They will have the ability to log in as an ACD agent on their phone. Steve's got a question. Scheduling holidays, schedule by time of day as well as date. There's a way around that, really, using auto attendant scheduling, Steve. A lot of people use auto attendant to get a bit more granular on the scheduling side of things. So again, we can take a look at that afterwards, but I probably recommend using auto attendant scheduling rather than just the normal time schedule, because there is the normal, or the, as it stands today, the same restrictions, I guess you'd call it, around the time schedule, being if a day is holiday, you're in night mode for that entire day. There's nothing, we can't do half days or anything like that without doing sort of a bit more manual day and night mode routing. I think that's all the questions in the chat. Sorry, does time mode change back automatically at 9 a.m. the following day? So I'm not sure what that's in regards to, Ryan, if that was time zone mode change for iPECS 1, in which case, if you've got it set to automatic, it will do, like it says, change day, night automatically. But if you do manually set it to day, it's going to stay in day until you either set it to night or set it back to automatic. So that's really, dependent on the user and how they set it. But that's the same as it is today on the hard phone. If the user sets it to day, it's set as day until that's changed. Cool move. So we can now move calls between iPECS 1 and a desk phone. So it might be easier if I go to the next screenshot. It's quite a busy slide, but you'll see if you're on a call on your hard phone and you want to move it to iPECS 1, you can do this now. So you can see, I don't know if you can see that, it's a little bit dark on my screen, but there's an option within iPECS 1, call switch to this device, and that's the same for desktop and mobile. So if you're on a call on your hard phone, you log into iPECS 1, you can pull that call across to that device by clicking call switch to this device, and it's very seamless. You click that option, click yes, and it pulls the call across instantly. It ends on your hard phone, and now you're talking on iPECS 1, and vice versa. If you're on a call on iPECS 1 and you've got a hard phone next to you, you can press your DN key. So the sort of automatically provisioned DN key that's always the first key on the phone. If you're on a call on iPECS 1, you can press that DN key and it pulls that call over directly to the phone. So again, same from, that's a better screenshot actually, same from desktop. You can see in the top right here, I've got call switch to this device. So when I'm on a phone, on a call on a hard phone, I've got an option to do that on desktop and mobile. And one thing to note on this is you can't move a call between iPECS 1 desktop and iPECS 1 mobile. You can only go to and from a hard phone. So if you did need to move a call from iPECS 1 desktop to iPECS 1 mobile, obviously you need to do a bit of a longer process, being iPECS 1 desktop to phone to hard phone to then iPECS 1, sorry, from hard phone to iPECS 1 mobile. So do a bit of a round robin on that because yeah, iPECS 1 desktop to mobile call move isn't supported. Google SSO, so much like we covered on in the cloud slides, it's supported on iPECS 1 as well. We've got a separate guide for that because there's quite a few steps within Google Workspace to get that going. But iPECS 1 desktop and mobile supporting Google sign-on. Sorry. iPECS 1 call control for SIP devices currently not, Jamie. Not supported in version 7. I don't know if that's on the list for future versions, if I'm honest. Call switch work with 9000 series phones, yeah. So 1000i, LIP 9000, the call move works the same for that, Matt. Call switch to mobile going to come in the future. I agree. I think we should have this feature. I don't know how we currently don't, but I've certainly asked the question, Barry, and we'll follow that through with ELG, as I agree. I think desktop to mobile is quite a cool feature. 2FA is on reseller accounts. Yes, Liam, it is. So I'll get on with the slides. CRM tool V5. So anyone that uses CRM within iPECS 1, you need to do it via the Mondigo CRM tool. Currently, we're on version 3, and they've now launched version 5. So version 5 has an updated GUI, has Mac support, so Apple Mac, and old license keys are detected. Sorry, meaning if you upgrade from version 3 to version 5, the license will continue and it will remember the license. You don't need to worry about any licensing issues with that. So you'll see in iPECS, in the new version of iPECS 1, you'll have an option for CRM V5. And I'm sure Mondigo will put any new future CRM integrations onto version 5. So it's probably going to be more of a thing for new customers moving forward. You'll probably want to install them on CRM V5 if you put any customers with CRM in. But for existing customers, I don't think it's much to worry about unless there's, a bug fix or something that the customer needs in the new version. Call fraud. So if an iPECS 1 user gets blocked for call fraud and then continues to attempt to make outbound calls, they get a warning that basically says your extension is blocked for call fraud. So previously you just get error tone. So I think this is just a nice little feature to give the user a bit more info. Tile contact display. So something important to remember is that we will be moving to tile contact being the default contact display. So currently in the current version within the iPECS 1 directory, this will be in list format. But as of the cloud version 7 upgrade, we're changing all existing and all future iPECS 1 users to have this tile display for contacts as default. So you can see in the top right, you've still got an option to toggle between list and tile view. But something important to remember going into the upgrade is that all users will now be have their contacts displayed in this tiled display rather than the current list display. And that will be done automatically for all users at the point of upgrade. And I agree. I think it looks a bit better than the list version. Improved chat. So you can see on the right is the new chat. Pretty basic stuff. We've got read receipts for read messages. Don't know if I've got us. No, sorry, I don't. But we've got now emojis and message reacts. All of that sort of fun stuff we can do within the iPECS 1 chat functionality now as well. Just a few enhancements that I won't cover in great detail. There's a bit of a change on the sort of basic call display. There's been a bit of a move around of where the dial pad is, just makes the layout a bit better. Not much you need to worry about, I don't think. And on the right navigational bar, just a bit more, it's a bit sleeker in default, and you can obviously hover over any of these groups and get a bit more detail on them. But I don't think you guys I don't think that'll come up too much. 2FA, so again, covered this really already, but within user setup, you can set the login type to have 2FA, and when that user goes to log in with iPECS 1, they get presented with a QR code. They scan that via the app and into the 6-digit code. So that's the same across reseller, customer, iPECS 1, and analytics. Jen, yeah, so the UI will change to this automatically next week as at the point of upgrade. The ACD one, yeah, sorry, yeah. As soon as the upgrade's done, the new UI will be default. And that was it for iPECS 1 and Cloud. Before I hand over to Ethan, I'll wait a couple of minutes and see if there's any questions in the chat. Feel free to put anything in the chat and I'll try and get to it. Yeah, Steve, once the webinar's done, I'm sure the recording will go up on the website, and also we'll share the slides. And what we've done in previous years is put them up on our knowledge base as well, so the slides are available. Okay, I'll hand over to Ethan now for the analytics side of things.
Okay, I'll proceed with analytics now. Hi guys, I'm Ethan. I'm in the cloud team with Josh, and we've got a few things in analytics. So I'll start working through those. And again, if you've got any questions, just put them in the chat, and we can I'll have a look at those periodically. So we've got 2FA, which Josh has covered, but that's also included in analytics. We've got wallboard accounts. We've got custom wallboards, public versus private. I'll go into that in a bit more detail. ACD CC agent stats. We've got the my performance and my call details reports under that. The ability for supervisors to join call, or probably more commonly known as barge in on calls via the analytics interface. Report filters being saved when moving around. Reseller accounts. A bit of an overhaul of the customer call summary. AA abandoned metrics. People being able to return missed calls who aren't in the groups if need be, and slight storage expansion for the data retention periods. So again, covered by Josh, but in analytics, you get the same kind of interface. You go to log in with your details. It prompts you for the 6-digit code that you've set up in the customer user portal. And it's the same 3 authenticators, Microsoft, Google, and Twilio. So wallboard accounts have been added in this version of analytics. These are cheaper alternative accounts for just showing wallboards. So they don't have any supervisor functionality. They're not tied to a user. They're just a ID and password that you use to log into a screen in an office that shows a singular wallboard at a time. So SSO and 2FA aren't supported for these because they're not linked to a user in any way, but they are, like I say, a cheap alternative to show multiple wallboards rather than buying a supervisor per wallboard. These are set up in the customer manager portal. So once you've ordered the license via the OMS reseller portal, there's now a analytics and then wallboard menu in the call manager section within the customer manager portal. And all you do is you go in here, click add, and it's as simple as making an ID and password that you then use to log in to the wallboard account. Public versus private on custom wallboards. So what this means is that if a wallboard is set to private, then only the supervisor who created it is able to view it. But if you set this to public when creating a wallboard, then the wallboard accounts you log in with are able to show your custom wallboards. So if you want a wallboard up on a screen with a wallboard account, you'll need to make it as a supervisor and then set it to public. So ACD CC agent features. So at the moment, we've obviously got the ACD CC features where supervisors can log people out and move calls and join silent monitoring and things like that. But now the agents themselves actually have the ability to view their own stats. So they've got a couple of reports. But once this is set to use, as you can see on the left in the customer manager portal, there's a button in iPECS 1, or they can log in with their user portal details and analytics. And that takes you to an analytics interface with a couple of reports. So first one is my performance. So this is a bit of an overview report on your KPIs, your group's KPIs, and then a bit of a comparison of the group average versus how you're performing. And then at the bottom, you've got a kind of summary of the calls you've taken and for what groups, etc. So this is just a bit of a way for agents to see, you know, how many calls they've been taking, how many they've missed. It's a bit of a self summary. And then the second report is essentially just a call history, much like the call history on the customer manager portal, but this is something that the user can view themselves, and you can change the columns and all of that good stuff to the user's liking, and filter it obviously as with the top bit. We had silent monitoring and whisper coaching before for supervisors, but now there is the ability to join a call. So if you can see that someone is on an ongoing call, you can click this button within analytics, and either your hard phone or your iPECS 1 will start a call and join and force a three-party conference. Something to keep in mind with this, though, is that if the agent transfers or holds or parks the external caller while this conference is underway, it will be the connection will be severed, so the supervisor doesn't remain on the call talking to the external user. I'll have a quick look, see if there's some questions in the chat. No, okay, we're clear. Or we've got Q&A. Oh no, nothing in there either. Okay, I'll carry on. So filtering reports. So obviously we can filter reports now, but what we can do in the new version is that you can actually save filters. So beforehand, if you wanted to save filters, you'd have to set the filters, save them, and then save it as a favorite. So you could only have like 10 slots for saving filters. However, in the new version, you can either apply filters, which are temporary, or you can save and apply. And then if you move away from the report and come back or refresh it, the filters remain. I see you've got a question about whisper. So yes, whisper coaching. There's whisper coaching currently in the current version, and silent monitoring currently in the version we're on. It's just join call, which is added in the new version. Reseller account. So with the details that you would currently use to log into the reseller portal, you can now log into the analytics interface. And what this will do is this will take you in to a specific supervisor on a specific user. So rather than logging in like with the OMS and seeing a list of all the customers, you'd pick a customer and you'd pick a supervisor, and then you go in as if you were them, and you can look at the settings they've changed or their reports, and it just helps with diagnostics. If they say they're seeing some strange stats, you could log in as if you were them and then check what they're seeing. It's important to note this doesn't log the user out. I know currently I've just seen Liam's message pop up. Yes, no, it doesn't log them out. Currently, if you were to use their details, you would log them out. But now with the reseller account, it doesn't. They don't even know you're in. Full summary has been overhauled. Apologies again. It is slightly blurry, but it's hard to get the whole screen in without scrolling. There's now a big chunk in the middle of the screen, which is for comparing stats to the previous period. So again, it's hard to see, I understand, but there's stats such as total call volume, average service level, etc. And the left-hand column will be the current day. And then the right-hand column will be a comparison to either yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, for instance, for the period. So you can compare if this Monday we had more calls than last Monday, or this month we've had more calls than last month, or less calls, more missed calls, etc. And all of the KPIs on this screen can be changed, including the ones in the key observations. There's 3 little dots next to the fields, and you can change which one you want to show. There's a big long list, which is too long to show in a slide, but I'm sure if anyone had specific questions, we can discuss them. There's a new metric on the reports and wallboards shown there on this slide. It's for calls that were abandoned while listening to an AA announcement. So if someone joins, rings in, hears the AA announcement, and then halfway through hangs up the call, we can now report on how many people did that. Beforehand, if they joined and then hit the AA and then hung up, depending on how your settings were, they'd either show as having been answered by the AA or not show at all because they never reached a user. So this is just a bit more detail as to what people did when they called in and why they didn't get to a user. Currently in the live version of analytics, if a group misses a call, then only someone within that group can return the call. So it will clear it from the unreturned missed calls report. But if, for instance, someone outside the group wanted to try and help and call in there or return the call, then it wouldn't clear. But now you can change this setting to allow non-group members to return unreturned missed calls. So it's up to the user at the end of the day, but it's there to change if they need it. And then finally, it's not a glamorous feature, but it is a change that might help. Currently, analytics the data is stored for 1 year, and you can only search for a 3-month period at a time. Whereas now you can store the data for 3 years and search for up to a 1-year window. So it's just a bit of an increase in that regard.